Good morning. Last week we kicked off a brand new series entitled The Future is Now. And I began the year by challenging you to join me in dreaming a new dream for your life and for our church, a new dream for 2026. Asking God to give you a vision and then for you to speak that vision and to declare that vision, to cast that vision so that you're able to walk in that vision. And then to join me and the rest of our church family in seeking God for clarity in the vision that He's given us as a church. I invited you to join me in asking God, what are you calling me into? And what are you wanting to do in me this year? So what are the things that, you're just speaking to me, and then how do I take that and live it out in 2026 to maximize my life, to make the largest impact that I can in my realm or my sphere of influence. All right. Then I invited you to join me in prayer. 7 a.m. every morning. I said, just set a timer and let it go off at 7 a.m. and then pray. I heard one person, they were just starting a meeting at 7 o'clock and their alarm went off. And they're like, oh, I'm supposed to be praying for the church. Hey, if it's right in the middle of something, just make a note, hey, I need to take some time and pray. I had someone say, I can't really pray at 7, but if I get up early at 5 o'clock, can I just pray at 5? And I said, no, you can't pray at 5 o'clock. I said 7 o'clock. You didn't hear. No, it's like, absolutely. It's not about, it has to be a very specific time. It's just something about knowing that there are lots of other people joining you at that time is encouraging. But if it doesn't work in your schedule, just set a timer for whatever does work and just pray. And pray, God, open my eyes to see clearly what you're calling me to and how I can partner with the vision of the church and get in alignment with it and make a big impact in our community. And then I invited you to fast, some type of fast. Doesn't matter, you can fast for a day, you can fast a meal, you can fast some other form of food, whatever you choose to fast, that's up to you. Again, it's not a competition or a comparison. This is just between you and God and what He's asking you to do and you stepping into that and being faithful to whatever it is. And then you just live that out in a fast. Maybe it's social media, maybe it's something that's not food related, but again, something of substance, something that's important to you, and you're willing to set that aside for a period of time and devote yourself more fully to speaking to God and hearing from God. So we'll pick it up where we left off last week. Last week, I shared this. It's in your notes, just as a reminder, that God wants us to see the vision before we live it. So God is going to reveal a vision to us. And then as we see the vision, then we get to embrace the vision, and then we can live the vision out. He wants us to see it before we live it. And seeing it requires clarity. Clarity. When something is clear, then you're more likely to embrace it and be engaged with it than if it's unclear. So again, the example I used earlier is if I came to you and I said, hey, listen, if you can get $10,000 together, I've got this investment opportunity for you, and it's likely to pay off really big, 30, 40, 50%, maybe even 100% return on your investment. And you said, well, what is it? And I'm like, well, I'm not really sure. It's kind of vague. Well, how vague is it? Like, I really don't know. I've got an idea. I'm going to try something, but I'm really not sure all the details. But if you got $10,000, how many of you would say, count me in? How many of you would say, thanks, bro, but I'm out. It's like, that's most of us because it's not clear. We're not willing to get behind something that's unclear. But when it's clear, if I came to you and I said $10,000, it's going to have 50%, 100% return on your investment, and I give you spreadsheets. Here Like, here's the return over the last 5 years. Here's the plan. Here's how it all works. Here's all you have to do is invest $10,000, and it's like clockwork. Then you'd be like, okay, tell me more. I'm starting to see it. Like, I'm in. See, clarity helps. Clarity gives us a little bit of motivation. It gets us more engaged. Seeing requires that clarity, seeing the vision. All right, so turn with me to Nehemiah. Let's jump in to see what Nehemiah can teach us about vision and clarity. Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 1. Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 1. In late autumn, in the month of Kislev, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes' reign, I was at the fortress of Susa. Hanani, one of my brothers, came to visit me with some other men who had just arrived from Judah. I asked them about the Jews who had returned there from captivity and how things were going in Jerusalem. And they said to me, well, things are not going well for those who return to the province of Judah. They're in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem has been torn down, and the gates have been destroyed by fire. When I heard this, I sat down and wept. In fact, for days I mourned, fasted, and prayed to the God of heaven. He gets news. Like, he's just like, hey, here's my bros, man, here's my buddies coming back from back home. And how are things going? And when they said, nah, it's really bad, it crushed him. Like, it just hit him like a ton of bricks. I don't know if you've ever received bad news before. Like, out of nowhere. You're just living life, and then someone says, hey, I need to talk to you. And then the bombshell. And it's like a punch in the gut. It just takes the wind out of you. That's Nehemiah. It just hits him. And it says that he wept. And he cried out to God. And he prayed for a long period. Like, this was big. And when it hit him, it doesn't tell us specifically, but it's like, I have to do something here. Have you ever been there before? When you're told of something that's happening, something that's not good, and you're like, what can I do to help? Because we all want to do something that makes a difference. It's part of our vision statement. It's part of our heart. Our desire as a church, my desire as a pastor, is to invest in you to the place where you can then know what God has wired you to do. You can understand your calling, and then you can go and make a difference in the world. Because I believe that that's at the heart of most people. Nehemiah is no exception. He wants to do something. This is unacceptable. It's a disgrace. The walls have been torn down and burnt down. And so he falls down. He's weeping. He's just pouring his heart out for days. He prayed to the God of heaven. All right. So what can we learn from that? What I see in this passage is Nehemiah, in this time of praying and seeking and fasting, he's wanting clarity. He's wanting vision. He's wanting direction. He's saying, God, what can I do? What do you want me to do? Speak to me. Give me something that I can go and tangibly do to make a difference. And that happened over time through clarity. Write this down in your notes. Clarity leads to obedience. Clarity, when you see it and it becomes clear, then you can step into it. You can embrace it. If it's unclear, not so much. And when I say vision, vision is more than a dream. Many people have dreams. Many people have a dream Many people have something that it's like, oh man, that'd be awesome if, and then they have this dream. But it stays a dream because there's no substance, there's no clarity. So it's more than a dream, it's a clear picture of God's desired future for you. When God says, this is my plan for you, step into it. And you're like, yeah, but what after that? Here's the next step. Here's what I want you to do. And when you're clear, you can be obedient. Again, last week, if you were here, I talked about Habakkuk and how in Habakkuk's conversation with God, he's pouring his heart out. God says, all right, here's the vision. Write it down clearly. Write it down so others can carry the vision. It can be passed on accurately to others. If you don't write the vision down, it will likely remain nothing more than a dream. It's why I've encouraged you in this time of prayer and fasting over the next couple of weeks now, is when you're fasting, when you're praying, just jot some things down. Is there something that God spoke to you in that time of prayer today? Just jot it down as a reminder, and then share that with someone else. Because when you write things down and it gets from your head onto paper, and then from the paper back into your heart, and it begins to take root, then you get some clarity. If you don't write it down, there's likely it's just going to get sucked up with all the other stuff. How many of you just have a lot of stuff floating around in your head? Like it's worthless stuff. Like you know a lot of things and you can talk about a lot of things, and in most part it's like, yeah, that's pretty worthless. I have no idea why I remember that. And sometimes all that stuff muddies up what God is trying to do in you. So you have it in your head, but it gets all muddy. But if you write it down, then you can see it. Right? Then you can apply it. So jot it down. So clarity leads to obedience. Just out of curiosity, how many of you, like as you start this new year, you're kind of thinking about life, how many of you have a desire for something more than you've ever had in your life? You want to do more, you want to experience more, you want to go deeper. There's something stirring in you, something of more. Raise your hand. Anything you want, a bigger impact, greater job, more influence, whatever it is, you want more. See, I think that's normal. Most of us have some level of desire for something better, something more, something different. And that's good. But you got to get some clarity of what does that really mean? Like, how does that play out over the long haul? And then what are my next steps? All right, so clarity, when you get that clarity, well, that leads to obedience. Obedience requires action. You have to do something. So to be obedient, you have to act. Many of us get a pretty clear picture, then we're like, yeah, I don't really want to do anything different. And then it just dies right there. But for those who say, okay, I'm getting the picture, I got the vision, now I know what that next step is. When you take that next step, things start to happen. When you take that action. And when you step in to that next thing and you take action, well, then the action that you take is what's required to have an impact. To impact another person's life, to impact your marriage, to impact your kids, to impact your job, whatever it is. It's like it takes, okay, now I see it. I'm going to take a step of obedience, required action. Now I can have impact. But most of us say, well, I just want the impact with all that other stuff in there. And it just doesn't work that way. All right. And so for us as a church, that last part of it, the impact, well, it's to make a difference. My heart, my desire is to invest in you, to share things with you at a level that helps you see clearly what God is doing so that you can embrace it, so that we collectively can go and make a difference. Right? Know God, find freedom, discover purpose, and make a difference. God's word doesn't tell us specifically that Nehemiah actually wrote this vision down. I think he did in some form or fashion. I think he had it written down, because when you read the rest of it, like, he's able to recite things. He's able to give very specific details as you continue reading through Nehemiah. So it was either written down and etched in his mind and his heart so clearly that it was undeniable, or he wrote it down, and when needed, he was like, all right, here's what I need, here's what's happening, here's the vision, and he was able to communicate it clearly. I believe that because of what comes in chapter 2. Turn there, chapter 2, verse 4. So, Nehemiah prayed and fasted for a period of time. It says that he prayed from the month of Kislev until the month of Nisan. So this is a period of about 3 or 4 months that he cried, he prayed, he fasted. It wasn't like a couple of days, all right, God, I'm done. No, this is a long period of time that Nehemiah is seeking God. Chapter 2, verse 4. After 3 or 4 months, the king asks, well, how can I help you? With a prayer to the God of heaven, I replied, if it please the king, and if you are pleased with me, your servant, send me to Judah to rebuild the city where my ancestors are buried. He had been seeking God for 3 or 4 months. Then the king says, hey, what can I do to help you? He didn't have time to really seek God and say, okay, God, I need wisdom, I need clarity. What do you want? Like, no, he had already done that. It says with a prayer to God. I believe it was like that prayer of confirmation. So the king says, Nehemiah, what do you need? And he's like, okay, God, I got to give an answer. What we've been talking about, is that really, yes, it is confirmation? Boom, here's what I need. It was that quick. And so then he tells the king, here's what I need. And he says, I want to go back and I want to rebuild the wall. But it doesn't end there. Keep reading. We're not going to read it all today. But then he gives some very specific details of what is going to be required for him to go and to do that and to fulfill the vision. Now, I've already stated last week what I believe the vision for the next 30 days or through the month of January is for us. Right? So it's to seek God, to pray, to fast, to spend some time to saying, God, open my eyes, let me see what are you doing in my life? What are you wanting to do in my life? How can I be of bigger impact and influence in my sphere of people? But I also believe that he's calling us in 2026 to be more focused, to be more intentional. So January is part of it, but then moving beyond that for the next 12 months, I believe that our focus needs to be more intentionally zeroed in on evangelism, outreach, and community impact. Going outside of the walls of the church into our community. Now, for the past 3 or 4 years, we have been very inward focused. And let me clarify. We've been focused on moving. Like, it was fulfillment of the vision that God had given us 4 or 5 years ago. So the vision was to relocate, and it was to be of a bigger influence and impact in our community. And to do that, we had to have a larger space. And so we stepped into that. And so for the past 3 or 4 years, our focus has been on purchasing land, building a building. And then it shifted to, well, now we got to move into a new building. And then this last year, it was, well, now we're in the building, and now we got to get established. We got to figure out how to function within the building. We have to figure all the details out. It's all been very internal focused? How do the ministries all work together? What night do they meet on? And it's all necessary. It's not bad. It just was part of the vision to get us here. But the vision for 2026 is outside. It's outreach. It's evangelism. It's community impact. And so I believe that when we come together and we understand that the vision isn't just about us that are here, it's not just about this building and how it functions, it's about people. People matter. It's why we put an addition already onto our parking lot, because people matter. And we wanted to make room for people to park when they got here. And you guys got behind that. And we were able to build a new parking lot 2 years after we moved into a brand new building. That's awesome. You guys did great. You can give yourself a hand. That's incredible. But that's just part of the vision. It's not the whole thing. So we have and are creating a plan. It has some detail, but it will get even more detailed. A plan where we can come together to execute the plan for the glory of God so that we can make a big impact in our community. So you go back to Nehemiah. He didn't just hope that Jerusalem would be rebuilt, that the walls would somehow, somebody, God, just pray that somebody'd come along, or miraculously that you would just build the walls back. He didn't do that. He wrote down the vision, he prayed, and he said, God, what can I do to make this come about? And then, with that plan, then he started to execute the plan and began to mobilize people. And he began to put materials together. And then he mobilized the people. He put them in certain places. And it was all very clear. And if you continue to read that, I don't think he was just shooting from the hip. I think it was clear. He wrote it down. He knew exactly. God was like, here's what you have to do. Here's what you have to do. And then that clarity, the clarity enabled other people to see it. Like, oh yeah, I can get behind that. I see what you're doing. I see what God wants. And yes, count me in. And then together, they were able to rebuild the wall. So not only, and listen carefully, not only did people see the vision, and not only did a lot of them say, count my family in, man, we're workers. We're going to get in and we're going to work. They funded the vision. Vision costs money. Community impact costs a lot. It requires money. But here's what I believe, and it's in your notes, write it down. When God gives vision, he also gives human and financial resources to accomplish it. So God gives a vision to Nehemiah to rebuild the wall. Rebuilding the wall was expensive. And if you read the rest of that story, which I encourage you to do, people fund it. It's all taken care of. God has given us a vision. And through this series, I want to clearly communicate the vision, because I do want you to get behind it so that you can physically jump on board and serve at a higher level than you're serving now. To be a part of life change, to serve in ministry, to do what you've never done before. But I also want to inspire you to see the vision so that you will fund the vision financially, that you will contribute to making sure the vision happens. Someone told me earlier today, Pastor, you should never apologize for preaching about money. And I said, I appreciate that encouragement. And I don't want to apologize for that. And I don't want you to even think that I'm talking about money today, though that is part of it. It's about vision. It's about you taking a step of faith and saying, I want to invest in the vision. Do you embrace the vision of New Life? Do you support the vision of New Life? Has the vision of New Life impacted your family up to this point? That's the question. Clarity will help you become more obedient to God, to His word, to His vision, and to His plan for you and your family. Number two, the next thing I want to talk about is number two, small steps of obedience lead to big breakthroughs. So I'm not asking you to go off the high dive, whatever, and like, okay, I got to take this giant leap of faith. No, it's a small step of obedience. Now, when I read in the book of Acts, which I do on occasion, it encourages me. I read in the book of Acts where God added to the church, on one occasion, 5,000 people in one day. How many of you would be super excited if God added 5,000 people to our church this week? Would that be exciting? It's every person who's not on staff. Because you were like, 5,000 people, what are we supposed to do with all these people? That excites me. Like, that would be so awesome if suddenly there are 5,000 people that said, I want to be part of what God is doing at New Life. It would also be terrifying, but it would be so exciting. Then on another occasion, God adds 3,000 people to the church there in Acts. 8,000 people, boom, added to the church. I don't know what would happen if God added 8,000 people to our church, but I think it'd be awesome. It'd be so incredible, and it would require a lot of work. But that's my prayer. God, add to our number. In fact, it says that God added to their numbers, Acts 2, God added to their number daily those who were being saved. So my prayer, my heart, is that we go out into the community, outreach, evangelism, community impact. We build relationships, and that people are getting saved every day. I'm not talking about going to your friend who goes to Restoration Church or Fellowship Bible and saying, hey, you need to come to our church. No, let God do what God's going to do through them at their church. I want you to be praying for the other churches. I pray for the pastors and for the churches here in Gardner. I reach out to them. This morning, I sent a text to several of them, and I said, just want you to know I'm praying for you this morning, and I pray that you would experience salvation. I pray that your church would grow spiritually and numerically. That's my prayer for the churches in Gardner. It's not to take people from another church so they come here. It's to reach the lost, those who are perishing. That's my heart. Outreach, evangelism, sharing the gospel with people who have not yet made Jesus Christ their Lord and Savior. That's part of the vision. So over the next 12 months, we're going to ask you to partner with us and take some small steps of obedience so that we can see great breakthroughs in the future. Now, we're going to equip you. The series that will follow this series is going to be a short series, but we're going to teach you. It's going to be a very practical series on how to go out and share your faith with people in your neighborhood or your family. We're going to give you some practical tools of how to be an evangelist. You're like, well, that's not my spiritual gift. It doesn't matter. God tells us to go, to share the gospel. It's not a suggestion. It's a command, and so we're going to go and we're going to do that, and we're going to share our faith with people, and we're going to teach you, we're going to train you to do that. We're going to help you introduce people to the God who loves them. So the first part of our vision that I shared with you, to know God, right? Know God, find freedom, discover purpose, make a difference. We're going to help people know God, leading them to salvation. So you'll be able to craft your testimony. Share a story. Invite them. It's why, if you ever wonder why at the end of service, like when I pray and I'll say it's as simple as ABC, and then I say, just pray this after me, and it's the same prayer every time. I want you to get that in you, and it works. I've had some of you say, man, I had somebody I was witnessing to, and they said they wanted to receive Christ, and I thought, what do I do? Then I'm like, oh yeah, I remember, ABC. Just pray after me. Admit that you're a sinner, believe that Jesus died for you, confess with your mouth. And so that's why, it's that simple. We want to get that in you so you can share your story, because your story is powerful. God wants to use you. Then we're going to invite you into prayer walking. Part of the strategy for 2026 is to go through our city, through every subdivision, up and down every street. My heart, my desire, I don't know if this is unrealistic or not, but I want to pray over every single house in Gardner, every single apartment complex, everybody who lives in duplexes. I want people from New Life walking up and down streets throughout the year, praying for families that live in those homes. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't. But we're just praying, asking God to use us to impact our city. So you'll be invited into that. We're going to plan some community events, some worship nights where we invite the community in, some opportunities just to impact our community apart from Sunday mornings. So your job is to ask God, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to be involved in this process personally? What's my part of it? What small step of obedience is God asking you to take? How do you help fulfill the vision, the mission, the purpose of New Life Community Church? Not just in the next couple of weeks, though that's a part of it, but over the next year. What small step of faith can you take so that you can see a great breakthrough in your life and in our church? Write this down in your notes. We can't expect great things from God if we're unwilling to take small steps for God. Like, most of us want God to do something incredible in our lives. Oh, God, I just want you to, this powerful move in my life. And he's like, okay, well, here's what I want you to do. And you're like, nah, I don't really want to do that. Well, you can't expect great things from God if you're unwilling to do even small things for him. Now let's look at it from a different angle. Let's look at the consequences of having no vision. If you just choose to go through life like that, I don't have a vision. Well, if you look back from what I talked about last week in Proverbs chapter 29, it says, without vision, people run wild, they cast off restraint, they drift away, they stumble all over themselves. People perish without vision. Literally, if we don't have a vision for our community, people will perish. There will be people who will die and go to hell because we didn't have a vision to reach them. We want to make it difficult for people to go to hell. We want to make it so hard, like they have to intentionally try to get away from us because we're passionate about it. Vision protects us. Vision aligns us. Vision unites us, and it guides us towards God's intended purpose for us. And my prayer is that you would embrace the vision that God has given us as a church family. And my prayer is that you would invest physically into it, that you would make time to serve and to make that vision come alive. But my prayer is also that you would fund it, that you would make a commitment to get behind it financially so that we can do everything that God has called us to do. Some of you have done a great job of that. Some of you have not. We have some people in our church that are very generous, who give abundantly. And then there are others who don't. And all I'm asking you to do is to evaluate yourself and to say, am I supportive of this vision? Has it impacted my life? And then I'm just asking you to help fund it. Another way to say it is to put your money where your mouth is. Oh, I love that church. Really? How much do you give? Well, I don't give anything. Well, you don't love the church. You don't love the vision. You don't love like you benefit from it. And all I'm asking you is to say, God, what is my part? He's given it to you right here. I would suggest that you start with a tithe, 10% of your income that you just commit. And some people say, well, tithing, that's not biblical. It's like, okay, just go with the New Testament model. Give everything you have to the Lord. So the choice is yours. You can give it all, or you can give 10%. I'm trying to be nice to you. All right, I'm giving you but to say, God, man, I've been blessed, and I want to make an impact. It requires some obedience. And I don't want this to be a message where you walk away saying, oh, he just talked about money. I want you to walk away from this saying, no, it was about vision. And vision costs money. Reaching the lost is expensive. Now, I'm sure at some point in your life, you've been watching TV and you've seen a news report of a family that was on vacation, and they were like in Colorado or Utah or somewhere on a family vacation, and they were hiking in the mountains, and one of their children got lost, wandered off into the woods. We've all seen the news reports of a lost child. And now the family's devastated, and they're panicked, and they're searching everywhere, and they call in everybody they can think of to search. And then next thing you know, there's like helicopters and drones and the park services, and everybody's flooding in there, and they're searching for this lost child. Because the only thing that matters in that moment is finding that lost child. That's all that matters. And I promise you that when the parent says, what do we have to do? And they're like, well, we can get a helicopter, but it's going to cost $20,000 for the helicopter. I promise you that parent didn't say, no, forget the helicopter. We can't afford that. They would say, bring the helicopter. We'll figure out how to make it work. Like money, I don't care about the money because my child is lost. There's no parent that would say, is there like a discount search crew that can cut the cost a little bit? Can we just do the bare minimum to find my child? No, it's like every resource. In a similar way, hear my heart. I do not want finances to be the thing that keeps us from fulfilling the vision of reaching the lost. Money should not be an issue, and yet it is. It is because not everybody is on board. And all I'm asking is for you to jump on board and to say, God, I've never done this before, but help me. We're counting on you. Lost people are counting on you. Our community is counting on you. They're counting on us. So this isn't about money, it's about vision. And can you embrace the vision? Get behind it, support it.